In Part 3, we're going to get into Meeting Phase 2, which covers problems with meetings and the high-performance meeting roles. We're going to start out this part by talking about some of the common problems with meetings, everything from attendance to leadership and organization and people issues. We're going to talk a little bit about preparation for meetings, attendance, and then get into the high-performance team meeting model, and then a discussion of the roles and responsibilities in the high-performance team meeting model. If you've been around business for any length of time, especially if you've been in a culture where there's a lot of teams or a lot of committees and a lot of meetings, you've run into these problems before. But with respect to poor attendance and participation, it's very demoralizing to have meetings where people show up late or leave early or don't show up at all, especially if you have some expectations of having some success with the team. In a transactional culture where individuals are trying to make themselves look good sometimes there's some gamesmanship or harmful interactions that go on in meetings. Or it could just be a matter of somebody having a poor personality. But anyway, here's a list of some of the kinds of things that are harmful to the dynamics of a meeting. Differing vision, goals, and expectations is actually a problem that can happen most when you have a really great group of people assembled together on a team. They need to have some vision, they need to have some goals, and if not, they get very frustrated. So it's really important to know exactly what the team or the committee is supposed to do. There are a variety of leadership and organization related issues that you can have on a team. Everything from who's going to lead to how is work going to be organized, how is it going to be monitored and overseen, what about low productivity, and what about dealing with members that aren't very productive. There are a variety of types of people issues you can have, including negative personality traits. People that come in with a trait that really disrupts the meeting and irritates people. Dominant individuals can be another people problem. Some people just like to control things or insist on their ideas. That can really disrupt a meeting and discourage team members. Also on the list of people issues is failure to contribute. Sometimes it appears that people aren't contributing because they don't have anything to contribute. But perhaps at the root cause is that they haven't been given the right direction or the right tasks so that they can perform and have something to contribute. The high-performance team model has some features that help mitigate this. I went through these lists of common problems to get to the point where I could show that the high-performance team model actually, by its structure and its process, helps minimize these problems. First of all, the model doesn't necessarily rely on a strong leader because the meeting format provides a lot of the structure that a strong leader would normally bring to the table. It's recommended that roles be rotated, which can also help take care of certain dominant individuals or attitude problems. It maximizes results by prioritizing tasks and actions. It increases attendance by encouraging people to show up because they feel like they're being productive. And it also has a continuous improvement aspect to the structure. When we're putting together a team, we often think of the subject matter experts, those specialists that are going to be on the team. And that's very important. But we also have other types of roles that we need to consider when we're putting a team together. For example, besides being a subject matter for a team, we might need somebody who's a good writer or somebody who's good with technology. Then in addition, we need to consider individual meeting roles. The meeting roles is a big part of the team model that we're about to explain. For the rest of Part 3, I'm going to talk about the roles in the high-performance team meeting model. And I'm going to start with the leader. I'm going to talk about the responsibilities, and the details of it will be covered in Parts 4 and 5. But the team leader is responsible for preparing the agenda. That's gathering action items from the previous meeting, information about what's going to be presented, new business items, and the time for each so that the agenda can be pieced together and time will not be exceeded. Circulate the agenda ahead of the meeting and then lead the meeting. And it's suggested that the leader role be rotated between team members. Another role in this model is the timekeeper. The timekeeper ensures that the meeting's agenda times are adhered to, directs the flow of the meeting, keeps members focused, and minimizes distractions and off-topic discussions. So the timekeeper is empowered to interrupt and keep people on time and minimize distractions. The secretary keeps track of the discussion and writes items on the board. But another role is to maintain what's called the parking lot. Whenever someone gets off the topic, goes off on a tangent, the timekeeper or the secretary or the leader can suggest that that item be put on the parking lot for discussion and action later on so that the meeting can get back on track. This is a really good feature when you have people around that like to throw the meeting off track. Another meeting role is the evaluator. The evaluator is responsible for keeping track of the meeting with particular attention to things that went well, things that didn't go well, interactions that were either positive or negative, and then at the end critique these and analyze any difficulties. Now this can greatly assist the leader and the timekeeper in controlling people who have a tendency to dominate, distract, or go off targets because they know that they could very well be criticized at the end of the meeting. The team can also use the critique to identify where they have some weaknesses and maybe key in on some additional training that they might want to request. The parking lot is where those tangents were written on a board for later consideration as an action item. Sometimes tangents are legitimate. People think of something and they're really anxious to talk about it right at that point in time, but it would disrupt the meeting. So the parking lot is a great way to preserve those very important points. But sometimes tangents are meant to deflect or to throw the meeting off track, and if those go up on the board, then when it comes to action item time, if they really aren't worthy, they can be discarded. But it did serve a purpose for keeping the meeting on track.